Okay. There we go. Jordan, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been watching your content for quite a while, and it was actually when you reached out, I was about to reach out to you to come hop on our podcast. So it's perfect timing.
No way.
Yeah, no, yeah. I love your content. There's few PTs out there that are actually doing a good job of building a community with valuable and engaging content, and you knocked that out of the park. So well done on that.
Oh, you're knocking it out of the park with the flattery like right away. Thank you so much. Wow. I appreciate it. Yeah, I heard about you and your company through Chris. He does Comprehend AI. And I think you helped him a lot with his business in the beginning. And so he had all these great things to say. And I just knew that you had to come on eventually. And I'm down to come on your podcast too.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I know because all of our people want to get so much better at creating content. I know there's so much fear and insecurity that comes out of that. And so that's what I'd love to chat with you about sometime.
Oh, let's do it. We can even talk a little bit about it today because I do think social media marketing it's just a question I get a lot about. And I'm not
Yeah.
sure that although it might look like I know what I'm doing, I'm not entirely sure I figured it out. So yeah, we
None of
can
us
touch on
do.
it. No, no. So for the listeners, tell
Mm,
them a little bit about Clinical Marketer
yeah.
and how you founded the company and what's been going on since then.
Yeah. So Clinical Marketer helps cash-based practices, primarily physical therapists, learn the skills to grow and scale self-sustaining businesses. So it's not just about marketing your practice because every business as a whole is a lot like our patients, where there's a lot of interconnected parts, and anytime you change one piece, things down the chain also have to adapt in order for those changes to be sustainable. So what we do is we teach PTs that are generally really burnt out. They never expected to be entrepreneurs. They did it out of necessity. We teach them how to kind of step into their own power as an entrepreneur, develop the skills that they need to make money and to increase their impact, and hopefully build something that one day can run itself that they could sell and put their family in a really good position.
Very cool. How did you get the idea for a Clinical Marketer in the beginning? Because you've been
Yeah.
operating for a while now.
Yeah. Going over 10 years. I've been in the physical therapy and kind of cash-based healthcare space, and I fell into this 100%. It started when we were in college, and my co-founder and we built medical software for the sports performance hospital. That's like the premier sports medicine facility in Wisconsin. They sponsor the Green Bay Packers, and we're building patient experience software for them. And that turned into its own company. We raised a bunch of money, ran that company for about 4.5 years, and it just sucked the life out of us. We hated it, every second of it. But we loved working with the clinics that were using our software because we're doing a lot of consulting and business mentorship for those people. And we just loved that side of it. And it turns out it was easier to sell business consulting for, a pretty reasonable retainer compared to like a $30 a month subscription. So we're like, the heck with that. We're going to start doing marketing and business consulting for practices. And then we did kind of like an agency model for a number of years. But then when COVID happened, all of a sudden, like who were operating out of gyms were forced to shut down. And a lot of the people who were helping, they could no longer afford agency support. But these people became like family to us because they kept our lights on and they believed in us. And so like that doesn't mean nothing to us. And so we worked for them. Instead of running their ads for them for free, we just trained them how to do it because it's actually really, really easy. And then once we started teaching them how to run your own ads, here's how to sell, here's how to look at your KPIs and make business decisions. Well, people's results exploded better than we ever got as an agency. And so that's when, since COVID, we're like, we're just going to teach people how to do this because nobody really needs an agency because running your own ads is really, really simple. You just have to get over a little bit of a hurdle, and then most people can do it in under an hour a week. And
Under an
that's when
hour.
Clinical Marketer was born in 2019.
How cool. And so now you guys have been operating for about 6 years.
Yep.
And what all do you do for your current clients today? So say
Yep.
I'm like, I want to work with Clinical Marketer. I'm terrible at creating Google ads
Yeah.
and meta ads. What services do you provide? And I guess are there tiers to that?
Yeah, there's definitely tiers. There's two layers of the program. So in any business, there's like 5 core functions. There's lead acquisition, lead nurturing, conversions, fulfillment, and retention. And so clinical marketer helps each and every one of those. But our frontier program is lead acquisition, lead nurturing, and conversions. And so when you come to work with us, we help you design, okay, are you selling the right thing? What does your patient experience look like? Is this something that is actually worthy of charging a premium price tag for? Because if it's just as good and you're delivering the same service that you delivered when you worked at your outpatient job, well, then it's not actually worth more than a copay. And so we help them design what that actually looks like, what world class actually is, and how to deliver that. And then once those pieces are in place, how do we actually advertise it? And so how do we get the right types of prospects contacting us who aren't just looking for the next cheap free thing, but people who are truly interested in investing in their health? And then how do we communicate with them where the value is obvious and that the cost of the investment is only exceeded by the cost of not working with them? And so we really work with them on just like their offer, the marketing, as well as the sales. And then once you have that piece down, once that's as optimized as it can be, well, then the only way to grow beyond that is to then either hire people or to add different acquisition channels. And so that's what the next stage of the our services really handles. Like, how do you become a real CEO? How do you track your numbers? How do you make decisions? What's going to be the next thing you need to do in your business that's going to increase your profitability and the sellability, is that a word? Of
It is
the
now.
business. Right.
Okay. This all everything you're touching on is just hits home for me so much because I haven't been in practice for very long, but I definitely think that I've learned through trials and tribulations along the way what works, what doesn't, but I'm definitely not 100% there. I'm curious when you're working with because you mostly work with cash-based PTs, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. This over the last year, we've launched our own functional medicine practices as well as direct primary care because we see those as natural allies. We think the future is integrative health clinics, not like med spas, not that sort of thing. We think real like healthcare reform and change is coming from cash-based functional medicine, direct primary care, and physical therapy working together. And so this year we've opened it up to those other professions as well,
Very cool.
but
So
primarily physical therapy. Yeah.
when you see those physical therapists starting out, say year one of their practice, what mistakes do you see them make? If you could call it a mistake,
Yeah.
or just maybe things that you would change on their operations side in terms of what they do for marketing versus maybe what they should be doing.
They're just guessing. They're just guessing at stuff.
Me,
Uh,
that's literally me.
right. Right. And it's like we have to learn to look at our businesses as patients, and it has all these interconnected parts, and we have to identify like what is like the root cause of any issues that we have right now. And we need to track our numbers so that we can make informed decisions. And a lot of people, they just go out, they maybe get some sort of rental agreement with a gym, and they think people are just going to come their way, which is very rarely the case unless you find yourself in a really fortunate, situation. And so we have to take a look at, okay, if I just open this door, how many people are just coming my way? Is that enough to hit my goals? Probably not. So what are the activities that I need to learn and the skills I need to develop to make sure that I consistently get people in the door, whether that's organic marketing or paid marketing? And so I think there's a lot of gurus and coaches that are out there that make entrepreneurship and starting a practice sound easy, and it's not. Entrepreneurship's the hardest game in the world, but to me, like God teaches us through difficulty and hardship. And a lot of people aren't prepared for that hardship, and they don't look at it as the lesson that is given to them to turn them into who they're trying to be. So they just kind of like crumble under the pressure rather than leaning into it and learning the skills that are clearly not working for them at the moment. That's kind of a wide answer, but
No, I think it was wide, but then also you narrowed it down. It's interesting the guesswork that you mentioned because it's not something that you cover in PT school. Obviously, no one's going to physical therapy school to learn how to market or how to sell. We're going to learn how to help heal human bodies and be movement experts. And so a lot of guesswork is involved in the beginning. And when people don't have businesses like Clinical Marketer to help them, it is a struggle in the beginning, but you make a good point. Like if you can learn from the mistakes and figure out like no one's going to show up, it's kind of like dating. If you're going to be out there and you think people are just going to show up on your doorstep
Mhm.
to hang out, that's not going to happen. You have to put the work in. I don't know where I came up with the dating analogy, but yeah, it's
Perfect. It's exactly like that. It's like if you
yeah.
build it, they're not just gonna come. I think another thing is there's a lot of ego that has to be let go of to be successful in business because the entrepreneurial graveyard is riddled with incredibly good clinicians that just didn't know how to learn things that they were reluctant to try to learn how to do. There's like my partner Ben. Admittedly, he's not a good clinician. So he got himself out of treatment as quickly as possible, and that's why he was able to grow so much faster. And so I think a lot of people think because of their credentials, people are just going to come to them. But at the end of the day, patients don't care about your credentials because they don't understand what they mean. They don't have the context. And that's why some people are going to personal trainers for rehab.
That's a really good point. I'm curious, from your perspective, what do patients or potential clients care about the most when they're considering in-network copay provider versus this paying a premium cash-based physical therapist? What's going to make them change their mind? Is it the marketing? Is there something else?
No, it's something else. It's how you make them feel. Everyone makes a buying decision first with emotion and then justifies it with logic. And so cash-based clinics stand out when they truly understand and can describe patients' problems as good, if not better than they do. Because anyone who can describe the problem the best is always perceived to have the best solution. And so if you understand, like if you're working with runners and you understand the pain of being told like, hey, you just got to stop running, and you can articulate that well to patients, that's going to attract them very much to you. And they're going to choose you over going to Athletico, who is really just trying to get you out of pain, but not necessarily running marathons again.
Right.
You know?
Okay. And how can clinicians, let's just say, we'll use me as an example, express that they are the ones that can create that emotional experience and be present? How can they transfer that over into their marketing?
Yeah. So it's actually pretty simple. Like we call it, like, for example, in our ads, we call it a relatability statement. Asking a question that only your avatar would understand. So if like you're what populations do you work with?
A lot of weightlifters.
Yeah.
I like to say the weekend warriors of
Yeah.
Chattanooga, but anybody from, we'll say, age 25 to 55 who
Right.
they're active and they're trying to get back to something.
Right. Like tired of warming up with TheraBands while your friends are doing like overhead lifts, like something like that, where it's
Right.
like that person who is like a CrossFitter but isn't able to participate in the workout of the day, and they're stuck in the corner doing something else. Like there's a lot of emotion tied to that, and so we have to. The key to everything, the key to making people feel heard, understood, and connected with you is by asking great questions. And so a lot of people struggle to convert patients into like long-term cash pay patients because they try to tell them why they're better rather than asking strategic questions that allow the prospect, the patient, to arrive at their own conclusion that this person understands me and I need to work with them.
Ah, I like that distinction. So it's not come to rehab with Ronnie because we're better than everybody
Hmm.
down the street. It's we understand you and we know what you're going through and we work with a lot of people like you. Kind of
Right.
that different connection.
Exactly. It's, why are you calling today? What's going on? How long has it been going on for? What have you tried? Well, why do you feel like that didn't work? Did it work for other people? Well, why do you think it worked for them but not you? Okay, now you can frame up how you present, how you can help them, as opposed to what it is they've already tried. So it's like we just got to get better at asking good questions and not talk so much and brag about our skills.
Not talk so much is so important. And that's a lesson that I've started to learn over the past year. And
Yeah.
it's just a skill you have to continue to refine. But patients offer up a lot of information if you just give them the opportunity to. And I think it's natural as physical therapists to want to fill in the blanks and be like, okay, so you're feeling this, and this is what we're gonna do. And kind of not interrupting, but maybe not letting there be the silence and letting them fill the space. So
Right.
I think that is an important thing to start to learn if you haven't already.
Right. Because no traditional clinic is taking the time to ask those types of questions. They're just like, yeah, what's going on? What insurance do you have? When can you come in? That's it.
Hmm.
And so if you can
Right.
take the time to actually like understand what it is they're looking for, what they're going through, how it's impacting their lives, what they've tried, why they think that doesn't work. Well, now when you tell them how you can help them, they actually believe you because they are actually articulated their entire story for the first time.
Right. I'm curious with newer clinics, and we could say new being anywhere from 1 to 3 years
Mm,
operating. What's the balance like in terms of what you see return on investment with digital marketing
yeah.
versus that in-person marketing, word of mouth referrals?
Yeah.
Where does the balance fall with that?
You have to do both. You have to do both. But there's a season, and you have to decide which of these paths are going to be best for you based on who you are. Because everyone boasts that their marketing strategy is the best, and it's all BS. Every single one of them can work. You just have to find the one that works for you in that moment. And then once you systematize that, then you can diversify to those other ones. And so it's hard to compare the ROI to them because it really like there's some people who will kill it with ads because they're more of an introverted person who's more analytical versus the person who's very outgoing that can just make friends in any room they step into, right?
Mm.
And so typically, like if someone's just starting out and cash flow is the most important thing, well then yeah, go ads. It's the fastest way to get cash flow in the door. And then as you're getting that cash flow in the door and you have something that's a little more automated, you use that extra time to still be building those relationships. Only now, because you already have cash flow coming in, when you go out to build those relationships, it's not coming from a place of desperation. And they can always smell that because you don't need them to want to refer to you and they can tell. And so start with the ads, build the relationship simultaneously, but you want to make sure that if any one system went down, no more than 70% of your traffic is going to stop. So if you're reliant on any one channel, that's a problem.
I like it. I feel like this is hitting home for me because with me starting my business, I didn't try a single Meta or Google
Yeah.
ad until probably 6 months in.
Hmm.
And I really did bank on the fact that I was located inside of a gym. The gym was gonna send me people, those people were gonna tell their friends, and honestly, it did work, but it wasn't scaling like I had wanted it to,
Yeah.
and I wish I could go back and do things over and see what it would have been like if I had employed something like Clinical Marketer to try and help me figure out the things that I just don't know.
But that's the beauty of it all though, right? Like at the mistakes we make, the challenges we face, like that is what gives you the wisdom like down the road to like help other
Right.
people who make those same mistakes, right? So it's like everything's a win if you think about it hard enough.
Oh, I love that. No, I completely agree. I always used to say, like, this was my mantra last summer when I was just still trying to figure my stuff out.
Yeah.
I would just say, like, you can't fail if you don't quit. Like, I will just continue
Right.
on, and it's not considered a failure if I'm still working on it.
Right. 100%. I think that's a mindset that serves everyone if they can adopt it. So many people like they hear these success stories, and everyone should really pay close attention to their internal monologue of like they're saying like, yeah, that must be nice. Like I could never do that. Yada yada yada. Because that has killed more dreams than anything else ever has. And luckily for me, and it sounds like you're the same, or it's like I've seen other people be successful, and it's like if they can do it, there's no chance that I can't. All I have to do is just not stop.
Exactly.
Right.
Just having the driving force being always forward. And yeah, to your point with the comparison, they say comparison is the root of all evil, takes away all joy, something like
Yeah,
that.
thief of joy.
But
Comparison
yeah,
is
the
the
thief
thief
of
of joy.
joy, the thief of joy.
Right.
And I mean, that's applicable to any aspect of life, but especially in business
Yep.
because there will be social media is great at showing you all these other people that are succeeding in the business that you want to do.
Yep.
And you have to be really careful and introspective and make sure that you're not looking at that and comparing your life to that because you're just seeing a
Right.
short snippet and a lot of struggle is behind whatever has happened to get
Right.
to that place, right? Like you said, entrepreneurship is the hardest game in the business, but also the most worthwhile, I think.
Definitely. There's so much like as long as you're investing in yourself, you won't lose. It's when people stop personally growing because our businesses are just reflections of ourselves, not the other way around. As long as we're always working on ourselves, our business is always okay. Um, so yeah, I think people need to pay close attention to their internal monologue and start to challenge some of the beliefs that they've never questioned because a lot of people never charge what they're worth or feel comfortable charging what they're worth because they're financial like thermostat or their beliefs around money were passed down to them from their parents. And it's, you got to ask, like, where did these beliefs come from? And did they come from people that have the life that I want? Probably not. And so there's a lot of introspection that needs to happen. And I honestly, I do find that a lot of clinicians have a hard time opening their minds to personal development. Have you noticed that?
I I think so. I think there's just 2 camps. There's either the person who is very eager to get out of whatever setting they're in,
Yeah.
and I think I might be hyper exposed to those people because I share a lot of that content on my page, and so those people find me. And then you have the clinician who really doesn't wanna go that path, and there's truly nothing wrong with that, but they're not interested and not worth the risk, and no thank you, I'm good with my day job, and
Oh,
both are great. I mean, you need both in the world.
100%.
But yeah, it is interesting. I don't know if I've noticed it specifically in physical therapists, but yeah, I think I'm overexposed to all these people that are like, "Ronnie, I wanna do what you're doing. How can I
Yeah.
get there?"
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough for everybody. But yeah, that's something
Right.
that everyone, um, yeah, something everyone needs to work on. Not just working on the business, but working on themselves. Because usually, if the business isn't working, but you are implementing what looks like what everyone else is doing, you're the variable. You're the common
Right.
denominator in that, and you got to work on yourself. And when you start doing that, the things that you're doing, the results might change.
Yes. Just addressing the root cause, and you are the roots because you started the business
Right.
in the first place.
Exactly.
So, speaking on success stories, I'm curious if there's any that stick out in your mind. You've been doing this for a while, so I'm sure you
Yeah.
have several, but are there any that you could share with listeners that just stick out in the history of clinical marketer and what you
Yeah.
guys have done, if you've taken somebody from, I don't know, the ground up and what that sort of looks like?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, like these awards, like this one in the right up here, that's
Yeah.
our 7-figure impact award. So that's for practices who have generated more than 7 figures within their practice. And just this year, we gave out 15 of those.
Wow.
And the average person who starts with us is doing less than $10,000 a month. That's our 500K impact award. Give out like 25 or 30 of those this year.
Wow.
But one story that stands out to me the most is the Mitchells, Claire and Philip Mitchell. They're also from Wisconsin. They're from a small blue collar town in northern Wisconsin. And when they had come to us, they had already invested in so many coaching programs, and they were on their very last leg. Philip was only working part time. He's about to go back into full time because they got, I think 3 kids, and they needed to make money. And they came to us on referral, desperate, about to shut down the business. They were on their best month they ever had was 7K, and they're around like 5K a month typically.
Mhm.
And they didn't think that anyone in their town would ever pay like a $2,000 for packages, but they weren't in a position to fight us on it. So they just listened. And once we turned on the ads, the very next month, they were doing $20,000 a month. And they stayed there by April the following year. They were hiring, they're doing $50,000 a month. And now they've been working with us for over a year. And last month, they just did 125,000 in a month, and they're going on vacations and they're still making money, and now their business runs itself. And so
Wow.
that's one of my favorite stories because they were on the verge of collapse. They didn't believe that they could sell or charge what they're currently charging in the area that they're in, because it's all like factory workers. It's kind of one of those towns. And now their lives are completely different.
I love that story. What I'm just curious now, let's dive into the details.
Yeah.
What's their avatar patient? Who are they typically treating?
Yeah, so they primarily kind of like your general ortho,
Mhm.
and then they added in functional medicine on the side of that, and that is a big part of why they exploded as well.
So cool, and I'm glad you brought up functional medicine because I did wanna circle back on that. You mentioned in the beginning how you think, I mean, you're bringing on functional medicine, some medical doctors, I think you
Direct
said,
primary care. Yep.
primary care, and that's sort of the way that you see healthcare going.
Yep.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, especially, well, people are becoming more health conscious than ever before. So there's been a lot of research and data that's come out that even though like we're going into a recession and spending power has been going down, the only industry that's continuing where spending is continuing to increase is health and wellness. And so people are taking care of themselves and investing more into that than they ever have before. And with physical therapy, especially cash physical therapy, because it's reached a stage where it is more saturated than it's ever been, finding PTs to hire is really, really difficult because everyone just wants to start their own practice. And so what we found is, because functional medicine it's supposed to 10x in the next 10 years, it is actually like exploding. Instead of, if you can't find a PT, hire an NP, a nurse practitioner, and go functional medicine. Because not only is that industry booming, but it's like it is a natural partner where we get a lot of our referrals from anyway. So start building these interconnected, interdisciplinary practices where you can keep people around longer, offer more services, and also you can scale things a heck of a lot faster because it is hard to find a PT, but it is not hard to find a burnt out nurse or NP.
Huh. It's interesting timing because literally this week on my list of things to do is
Yeah.
there's a new like holistic wellness doctor, and I wanted to go just introduce myself and see what's up a little bit just for myself and my own personal research, and also wanting to know when patients that come to me and are frustrated with their current medical care, who can I refer them to? So it's really interesting that you bring that up.
Because those are the two best, most consistent referral sources we have. Obviously, like gyms and doing workshops, that's really good. But just straight referrals that require little nurturing, the best ones are direct primary care physicians and functional wellness practices. And
Mhm.
so it makes sense to pull all of that in-house eventually. And so we're just finding that those are the industries that are exploding faster than physical therapy is. And for PTs whose vision is to truly focus on prevention and helping people regain their confidence and keep their youthfulness and maximize longevity, well, then you need those other pieces of the pie as well. Because just taking care of your body, like physically, you got to take care of all the other stuff too.
Right, your gut health and your nutrition and how's your
Right.
thyroid and all the things that we don't necessarily cover. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So that's where I see and everything like I've planted my flag in physical therapy since day one. I remember there was an investor when we were raising money for our software company. And this was like our last hope. Like we needed this money. And he laughed in my face and said, no physical therapist would ever listen to a word that I had to say. And that was the day where I'm like, watch this. And so the idea of moving into functional medicine and direct primary care, it's coming from a place of I know that for physical therapists that want to build something great in the competitive landscape that we're in, that is the path of least resistance and it creates the best experience for the patient. So that's the path we're going in, but it's with physical therapists and the people I'm helping in mind while we do
Yeah,
it.
and the Mitchells were just ahead of the game, it sounds like.
Yes. Yes, they
Yeah.
were. Yeah. Philip was the physical therapist, and then Claire was the functional medicine provider. So
Okay.
it's just a
Yeah,
natural.
it's it's an interesting topic because I do think that even just in the past year and the patients that I've treated, there's almost this paradigm shift where people are seeking out physical therapy cash-based before ever even going through their insurance. They're like, "Never mind, I don't even wanna try that." And it's not stopping there in terms of healthcare. They're also looking at maybe like concierge medical doctors, cash-based,
Yeah.
MDs, orthopedic people. So, I do think people outside of the healthcare system, just your general
Oh, yeah.
patient is also getting fed up with the insurance world and realizing that they're maybe not getting the best care they deserve. So it's great for us, but it is
100%.
interesting to see who else is going to get lumped into
Yeah.
that type of provider.
Everyone, all healthcare professions, they're all sick of not being able to treat the way that they know is best and having all these limitations. So it's wild to see. Like it started with chiropractic, then dentist, then PT, and now it's um, physicians and nurses. So it's exciting, and people are, as you said, like general public, they're putting way more value into because they realize that they can't just go in to see their doctor and run this blood work because it's not medically necessary. But they want to know, like, how likely am I to get sick? How can I prevent these things? But the current healthcare system doesn't allow them to do that.
Right. And it's funny because the current healthcare system, we all know is broken. They call it the sick care system, not the healthcare system. And
Right.
the overarching question is always, how are we going to fix this? How are we going to,
Mm,
screw big insurance and big pharma? But interestingly enough, I kind of feel like the system is just going to correct itself. Enough
yep.
people are going to go the alternative route that maybe big companies are going to realize this isn't working for us anymore. That's my hope. That's me like 10 years down the road thinking maybe something good will happen.
Right. I think it will. I think the more the cash model is proven out, the more money that's taken away from insurance companies is going to create more opportunity for new insurance companies who do want to cover this type of treatment to start to pop up. So I think it's only a matter of time because it's just creating too much opportunity for it not to.
Right. Does Clinical Marketer work with any in-network PT clinics? Or are you strictly just kind of cash based?
We're strictly cash based because that's what
Nice.
we believe in.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So strictly cash based or
Good.
helping insurance clinics transition to cash based.
Okay, that actually leads me to my next question. I was
Uh-huh.
curious when those insurance-based clinics are making that transition, what's a common point of contention? And I guess is there any aversion to that? Are they nervous about it?
Yeah.
Or is it pretty smooth
They're
sailing?
usually freaking out because they're seeing like 1,000 patients a month. So it's like big volume, like we're turning around oil tankers. And so the way to do it and where people like get stuck is in the sales because when it's insurance, you don't have to sell anything. You don't have to convince anyone of anything. They're already there. They've already decided. And so when insurance-based clinics are transitioning, we always start with one person who's willing to spearhead this whole thing and one admin who we can train the sales processes to. That one clinician offload all of their insurance patients to another clinician. They start with cash, prove it out, vet it out, and then one at a time transition each clinician.
Huh. Very cool. I've
Otherwise,
never
it's
seen
too
that
abrupt.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen that done in real life. I feel like that must be so interesting to be in that work environment and
Yeah.
have that transition.
Yeah, I mean, it's life-changing for them because they go from seeing, like, 15, 20 people a day to suddenly their clinicians are only seeing, like, 6, you know? And so it's
Mhm.
like their quality of life goes through the roof. Usually, it does mean downsizing the team a little bit because you don't need quite as many people to do the same volume. So it is a big transition, and it is scary, and it is hard, and it does mean sometimes saying goodbye to some people that have been great employees, but, um for the patients, for the owners, and for the people that stay on, it's life-changing for everybody.
It is life-changing. I had this moment literally right before we hopped on this call. I had an 8 AM, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I did not work in a lunch break. Nobody should do that. If you're listening, make sure you work in a lunch break. But I was I was taking a second before we hopped on, and I was thinking, it's wild that I used to see at 8 AM, 3 patients, at 9, 2,
Yep.
then an eval at 10, and then back to 3. I mean, before the hour of 1 PM, I had seen maybe 12
Yeah.
patients, but I mean, like, you cut that volume by
Mhm.
75%, I'm seeing 1 person an hour, and I don't know, I just feel so much happier. I feel like I could keep going for the rest of the day. I'm so energized. I'm like, "Let's go. I'm ready for this podcast." You just feel so much better about everything that you're doing.
Right, and that's the part that no one really talks about, like, yeah, like, there's more money to be made in theory, but really, like, because you're seeing so many fewer people, you're able to give more of yourself to each person, which gives you more fulfillment per person, which gives you more energy, and so it's like, um, the quality of care and the relationships you're able to build because of the cash model, it's like, that's why you do it.
Yes,
The
and then the relationships built, they just improve your business tenfold because
Right.
they tell everybody that they know because they had this great one-on-one experience with a doctor of physical therapy, which they've never had before, and they've been to PT 70 times for their knee,
Yeah.
so it's
Exactly.
great. It is great. So, we talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but with social media marketing, I get a lot of questions.
Mm,
"Ronnie, how do you market your business on social media? Is this necessary? Do I need a big online presence?"
mm.
What are your thoughts on that?
You know, um, and I know
I
that
agree.
just because I've seen so many practices go from nothing to doing, 50, 60 to 100K a month without a big following. But marketing is changing. We're in a huge like paradigm shift within marketing where people want to actually know, like, and trust the brands before they work with them. And so even SEO is changing from search engine optimization on Google to search everywhere optimization. They want to go and watch your reels. They want to go through your content and work with you when they've already decided that they want to work with you. And so right now, you don't need it, but it's just like SEO. It's something that you need to start doing now, because over time, it creates this massive asset that can nurture people long term and turn them into customers for you. And so do you need it to be successful? No. Should you start doing it? Absolutely. Not just for like the personal development aspect of getting comfortable sharing your value in your life with people, but also just the ability to start to cultivate and build an audience of fans is really powerful for the business.
Yes, that's exactly what I tell anybody that asks me. I don't want to project that having 100,000 followers on Instagram is necessary for your business to be successful. At that point, it almost becomes its own business. But Rehab with Ronnie was created to just show cool exercise videos for anybody that wanted to watch. I created that account when I was still working for a corporate PT company. And in the back of my mind, I knew probably one day I was going to have my own business, and I wanted to have this bank of all this content
Mm-hmm.
where people could look and see, oh, I want to go see her. What is she doing? What is it like to go see her? What is she up to?
Right.
So in that aspect, yeah, I agree. I think it's necessary to have and to start working on and get comfortable in front of the camera. And you don't have to share tons of personal details, but
Right.
giving people, especially younger people, an idea of what it looks like to work with you, then that's like a selling point, you know? Then
Right.
they see my clinic, they see maybe, oh, it looks kind of upbeat. This looks like it's fun. And it's a really nice tool to have.
Right. And there's I just did a keynote on this at one of our last events. It's like Gen Z, 70% of them prefer searching for things on Instagram and TikTok versus Google. And so if you compare, like if you just type in physical therapy near me and look at the search results on Google compared to physical therapy in Milwaukee on Instagram, where you get a curated content and figure out like who you like, whose energy do you like, and who understands you the best. If you're not showing up there, but you're showing up only on Google, who do you think that next generation of people are going to go with?
That's a good point. I had never thought about it that way. But even like if I'm looking for a new restaurant in town, I'm probably not going to Yelp. I'm going to their Instagram page. Like, how's the food look?
Exactly. And right now, it's a completely blue ocean. Like if you type in like physical therapy for runners in your area, there's going to be nothing. But if you start creating content for runners and making sure that you're geo tagging each of your posts with your location, all of a sudden you're the only PT in town with content for runners in that area, and you're dominating the search results for that generation of people looking there. And
Boom, done.
right now, that might not be a big deal, but in the next 5 years, 10 years, that's the future. And so it's better to get started now than wait until it's a necessity.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just to reiterate, you could have 20 followers on there, but people will be able to find you and be able to use you as a resource.
Right.
And that's the main point.
And I think that's an important distinction. Like if you're just building a brick and mortar practice and that is the scope of what it is you want to build, well, then your followers really don't matter, because how many people in your local area are actually a good fit for your practice, right? So in that way, followers are a little bit of a vanity metric. But if you're hoping to build an online program, well, now it's essential. Now you have to be producing content at a consistent rate for a long time to build up that following. That's the conversation I have with people who are like, should I start like an online thing? I want passive income, or should I start a practice? And it's like, well, there's no such thing as passive income. Do you like making content? Do you want to spend all your time creating content? Because that's the trade-off you're making. You're either networking, running ads, and building a practice, or you're meticulously creating content, mastering the algorithm, keeping up with the updates that are required and the trends. So one's not better than the other. Both are a lot of hard work.
Yeah, my answer is always, what is your goal with the account? Yep. If your goal is for people to discover your local business, that's going to drive your content one way. If your goal is to build a personal brand and have people trust you as a credible source and follow your online programming or reach out to you for virtual sessions or whatever, have brands work with you, totally different ballgame. A much more involved ballgame.
Right, exactly. If you're trying to do anything online, you have to be pumping out content a lot, because there's someone else out there, probably a lot of someone else's, who are producing content at a much faster pace.
Yes.
You're gonna win.
And to do that point, I do feel like a big barrier to entry, or perceived barrier to entry for a lot of people, is, Like, oh, but so many other people are doing it. It's such a saturated field. Why would I be any different?
Yeah.
You actually don't have to be. Like, just because there's a lot of other successful physical therapists online creating content doesn't mean that you can't be the next person doing that. There's so much turnover and there's so many people out there that are consuming content 24/7. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can
Right.
still do everything that everybody else is doing and have a very successful account.
100%. There's so many people out there, and the fact that there's someone else who's out there doing it bigger, that becomes your competitive advantage. You're just a number to them. To
Right.
you, this matters. Now I'm gonna make sure you get the result, because right now all I care about are case studies and results.
Right.
So it's like
Exactly.
you can have a much more personal relationship with people, and that's what's gonna help you grow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, for those listening, because many of the listeners are physical therapists, PT
Yeah.
students, people considering going off on their own, what would you say clinical marketer does a little bit differently, maybe than other options, when they're considering bringing somebody on to outsource or not outsource, but learn how to do the digital marketing side of things? What is clinical marketer going to do differently for them?
Well, I don't tell like whenever I'm talking with someone or like selling them into our program, the first thing that I let them know is like, we're not an agency, not a done for you group. I don't even consider us a marketing company. What
Okay.
we are is a group of practice owners who are sick of working with agencies and sick of working with marketers, who decided to learn all this stuff ourselves. And when we started doing it ourselves in house, things grew and scaled much more quickly. And so when we're working with someone who's brand new, like, we're not doing your marketing for you. We're teaching you how to think like a CEO and make informed business decisions. And so the first thing you need, cash flow. And so we're going to teach you, here's how to attract your ideal patient population. Here's how to identify, here's how much you can afford to pay per customer. Here's how you sell them. Here's how you retain them. And then once we have all that data, what's the next piece of the puzzle? One of those 5 mechanisms I mentioned, lead acquisition, lead nurturing, fulfillment, conversions, fulfillment, or retention. At any given time, one of those is the weakest link in the chain. And so you have to be able to identify like which one of these things is broken and how do I actually solve it? Because working on anything else is just going to have diminishing returns. And so we teach you how to understand those mechanisms, how to measure them, how to identify which one's broken, and then how to fix it. And if you could just keep doing that, well, that's how you create that month over month growth versus like those, bumpy cash flow months where it's like feast or famine. So that business education is basically what we do.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
like that it's education centered and not let me do this for you and you'll never know. It's a secret. We're behind the curtain
Right.
type of model because education's empowering and I think you're going to give business owners like feeling of ownership over what they're doing and then they can take that and run with it. So I think it's great.
Right. Because there's a quote on my wall that I've had since I was like 18. It's this janky little poster, but it says, the only way to win is to learn faster than everybody else. And so what we do is help you learn faster than everyone else, all of the skills that are required to be a great CEO. Now, we don't believe like we want to run businesses that run themselves. Like we want to get out of the day to day so that we can focus on other things in our life that we want to do. And so we teach you the skill of marketing so that when it does come time to delegate it and hand it off, you can do it from a position of leverage versus hoping that the person you're talking to actually knows what it is they're talking about.
Mm.
Instead, it's, I have this system, it's already working. Here's the SOP for managing it, just don't break it. And now you're in a much more leveraged position where you're not just, you kind of bypass the trial and error with agencies piece when you just know what you're doing.
Very cool. If you had any advice to a new clinician, or I guess not a new clinician, but a new clinic owner,
Yeah.
and they are in the guesswork phase of things where they're just not quite sure where to go, and they're thinking word of mouth is just going to be kind of the best bang for their buck, what would you tell them starting out?
I would say to put in so much work that it'd be unreasonable for you not to succeed.
I love that.
I got I got that from something that Alex Hormozy said, and that's really all it takes. Most people who are out there, even if they're already established practices, like they're not as streamlined as you think they are. Most people are just winging it. And so if you are really determined to build something that is meaningful, that can provide you time and financial leverage where you're able to impact and give back to whatever community that you want to have, get crazy about learning the skills that are going to make you successful. If you don't have money, great. Every moment that you have that's available, you should be out there networking, getting to know people, having people say no to your face, and developing that like callus of handling rejection. Get out there every single day, create the cash flow you need to then invest into the next skill you need to develop. A lot of people, they want to start a practice, but they don't want to change who they are. But in the version of you that has a 6-figure or 7-figure practice that now you're able to live life on your terms, that person has a completely different set of skills. And so decide what it is you want, what version of yourself is required to have that and sustain that, and then chase after those skills like nothing else matters.
Yeah, become obsessed with it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I love that. I think that should hit home for a lot of people. If you're not wanting to change as a person, you probably won't get very far, because inevitably the core of who you are is going to change as you start to learn and grow and get used to rejection, overcome the fear of failure. So yeah, can't fail if you never quit. It's just
to go off of that as well, just because I know a lot of people will do that, but then a lot of people burn out because their expectations are wrong. So people overestimate what they can do in 3 months, but greatly underestimate what they can do in 12 months of consistency. And so if you hit the pavement and you're out there meeting people and you try all these different things, but nothing works in 3 months, who cares? Keep doing it. Just keep doing it. You have to accelerate your rate of failure and learning. And the longer you can tolerate that, the faster you're going to grow.
Yes. And the more comfortable that you can be with not reaching the goals that you thought not being in the place where you thought you might be in 3 months, the better you're going to be. Now, that doesn't mean like, oh, well, I didn't make it, so I guess we'll just, whatever, not try again. But I mean, gosh, I remember thinking by June I'm thinking last year, I'll have 10 patients on my schedule on a regular basis. And it just didn't happen. And it took a while for that to happen. And things are definitely picked up now, but it was almost the more of a driving force for me to work harder, because I was like, wow, this hasn't happened yet. I must continue. I must drive forward.
Right. So just, if you do it, commit to it, accept that things are going to be hard, and find a support group of people who understand what it is you're going through, because it is lonely. There is a lot of there is pain, but it is required to become the version of yourself you got to be. So you need people around you who can pull you out of some of those lower kind of dark moments, who believe in you, who can also share the wisdom of how to get past that. So find your support network is
and that support network, those people, if they're real ones, they want you to succeed, and they're going to they'll be there every step of the way. I've definitely found that. I feel like there's just this common sentiment online where people are like, oh, when you want to try something different, no one's going to be there for you and they won't have your back. But I feel like I've experienced quite the opposite. If you truly have good people in your life that want to see you succeed, they'll help you out, and you can't do it alone. It's truly not possible.
Right. And if not, cut them out. If there's someone you can't cut out, then just limit the amount of exposure you have to them. You have to be around people that believe in you even more than you do. And that's what's going to accelerate your growth faster than anything else.
Yeah. Where can people find you if they're wanting to maybe use Clinical Marketer? Or if they just want to hear more about you? You have a podcast too, right?
Yeah. So you can, if you want to go through our free stuff, there's the Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters podcast or YouTube channel, where we're constantly releasing everything we know. We don't really keep anything behind closed doors. We don't sell information. We sell structure and implementation. So you can get a lot of free resources there. If you want to work with us, you can go to clinicalmarketer.com and schedule a call, and we can see if there's something that we can do to help you.
Awesome. This has been so great. I feel like I've learned a lot. Selfishly, I was just excited to have you on so that I could learn a little bit, because my business is still a little baby. So
well,
thank you.
Let's talk again. I'd love to have you on our podcast again. And obviously, this is a lot of fun and I appreciate it. And if there's ever anything I can do, just let me know.
Absolutely. You're awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.